The attack on the headquarters of the 155th Brigade of the Russian Armed Forces in Kursk region, which resulted in the zeroing out of the Deputy Commander of the Russian Navy, General Mikhail Gudkov, is only one episode in a series of successful liquidations of high-ranking Russian officers. Ukraine is aiming and accurately eliminating the most dangerous Russian military. This was stated by Russian Z-patriot Lev Vershinin. Mikhail Gudkov was one of the best generals in the Russian army. He was a talented tactician with good strategic inclinations. He was promoted from above. Russian Defense Minister Belousov promoted him, and the one at the very top did not object. He was promising. He was killed by a targeted strike on the headquarters, being close to the front line. There are serious, unfortunately, grounds to assume, since his trip was officially unknown to anyone, that somewhere in the military structures of the Russian Federation there is a mole. Perhaps these military structures are not of the middle level, but higher. Vershinin said. He claims that almost on the same day as Gudkov, several other top officers of the Russian army were liquidated. Plus, during those same days, another promising officer, a popular general promoted from above, died. I don't remember his last name. And on the same day that General Gudkov's death became known, information came out that the commander of the Black Sea Fleet was allegedly killed in the same unexpected attack in Crimea. He was also a man with a good reputation, but this information was not confirmed. I can't vouch for it, but I assume with 90% certainty that he himself survived, but several other officers from his staff died. What can I say here? Promising, talented, popular, and, most importantly, generals who do not threaten the vertical in any way are being knocked out purposefully and consistently. They don't touch shit with a bad reputation, the propagandist reported. He complained that there is no such thing in Ukraine. They have good intelligence. They hit those who are dangerous because they are effective on the battlefield. Vershinin complained.
On the Toretsk front, Ukrainian forces have observed a decrease in heavy equipment activity from Russian troops. Instead, there has been the use of small infantry groups employing light vehicles, including ATVs and motorcycles. This was reported by Sergeant Bucha of the 12th Azov Brigade. Thanks to the tremendous efforts of the Ukrainian Defense Forces, after nearly a year of assault operations, the enemy has still not achieved its goal of capturing Toretsk. The city has held, is holding, and will continue to hold. Instead, the enemy has set its sights on capturing the settlements of Kostiantynivka and Pokrovsk as a result of the summer offensive. These directions remain the toughest along the entire line of contact. Building on the experience from the Bakhmut campaign and successes on the Avdiivka front, the enemy aims to encircle the city and avoid costly battles for themselves. But I assure you, we are doing everything to bleed our enemy dry, halt their offensive capabilities, and force them to abandon their ambitious plans, say Sergeant Bucha of the 12th Azov Brigade. The sergeant also noted that assaults are carried out by small groups of up to 3 Russian soldiers who are successfully eliminated by the Ukrainian forces. You know, when the existence of your state and the survival of your nation are at stake, people who ask why and for what disappear. We are all exactly where we need to be. We are doing what we must do. We know why we stand here, and we still stand here as long as necessary, he added. Recall, after heavy fighting, Russian forces from the 8th Combined Arms Army redeployed this spring from near Kharkiv to the Toretsk metropolitan area, have broken through Ukrainian lines to both the west and east of Toretsk. The 8th Army's 150th Guards Motor Rifle Division managed to break through along the Nelipivka-Diliivka axes, but only after repelling multiple counterattacks, during which Ukrainian forces twice reached central Toretsk. The division has now almost reached the eastern edge of the Kleban-Biksik reservoir, putting Ukrainians' northern supply route at risk. However, the Kryvyi-Torets River still separates Russian forces from the reservoir. The Kremlin decided to pay more attention to the Pokrovsk direction than to Konstantinovka. This happened after the enemy had failed to achieve the expected result on the battlefield in 2 weeks of activity in the Konstantinovka area. Analysts from the Institute for the Study of War have announced the current situation in the Pokrovsky and Konstantinovsky directions. Geolocated footage from July the 6th and 7th recorded the advance of the Russian armed forces northeast of Novokonomichesky during a platoon-sized mechanized assault. Russian war correspondents claim that Putin's army has also advanced northwest of Koptevo, west of Mirny, and the southwest of Myrolayubovka. The enemy army most likely reoriented its attention to the area northeast of Pokrovsk in the direction of Dobropolye after the resumption of attacks in this area in May. ISW recently assessed that these offensives are aimed both at enveloping Pokrovsk and at creating a salient that would allow Russian forces to attempt, in the long term, to envelop Konstantinovka and the broader Ukrainian fortification belt, a series of fortified towns that form the backbone of Ukraine's defensive positions. Putin's army has been unable to make any significant advance west of Toretsk towards Konstantinovka since June, which is why the Kremlin has shifted its priorities in favor of Pokrovsk. One of the Z channels reported that the Russian armed forces unsuccessfully tried to advance in the Novokonomichesky area. It is possible that Putin's army will now try to break through the defensive positions of the Ukrainian armed forces in the Rodinsky area in order to force the Ukrainian forces to retreat from Pokrovsk and Mirnograd under the threat of encirclement. After that, the enemy will probably again take a course for Konstantinovka. Ukrainian troops are defending Konstantinovka in the Donetsk region under difficult conditions. This town is located right in the path of Russia's summer offensive, which makes its defense a very important task, writes the New York Times. The Ukrainian military told journalists that Konstantinovka is the southern gateway to the chain of towns that form the last major defensive belt in the Donetsk region. According to them, if the Russians occupy Konstantinovka, almost all cities located further north will be within range of enemy drones, which will bring the Russian Federation closer to the complete capture of the region. The publication emphasizes that the Russians have created a 16-kilometer zone around the Ukrainian troops defending Konstantinovka, partially surrounding them from the east, south, and west. In a conversation with journalists, Ukrainian soldiers and officers said that almost every movement in this zone is monitored around the clock by Russian drones.